order. This is the Committee on Ways and Means, joint with the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation hearing. And our topic today are the bills on the exemption from income tax of election honoraria and allowances of persons rendering services during an election period. So before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Pimentel and Senator Gatchalian. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. I know Senator Gatchalian is busy in his campaign, and Senator Pimentel is also busy assisting his lovely wife in her campaign. So thank you for joining today. Naririnig ko ba sila? Ano? Mic check. Colleagues, can you say hello to me so I can hear you?
Loud and clear, Madam Chair.
There. Okay. Feeling ko kasi nag-iisa ako dito, which aside from our media people and staff, wala akong katabi, which is weird.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for calling this hearing on this very important topic.
Thank you then for attending. So let me just give a bit of background for our audience. I know our colleagues who are present know the importance of this, and I'll give you an opportunity for an opening statement if you'd like, just after I briefly go through this. So we are in receipt of the bill filed by the House of Representatives, and there are also a few other bills filed by our colleagues, Senator Binay's, which is Senate Bill 117, Senator Gatchalian, Senate Bill 1193, and Senate Bill 2456 by Senator De Lima. I believe Senator Gatchalian's bill is very similar to the House bill, which refers to any person who are receiving such honoraria, travel allowance, and other benefits. I think one of the bills here, it might be Senator Binay, refers to teachers specifically, but we will tackle all of this as we proceed. And obviously, we all know that it does not escape the attention of any one of us that the teachers in particular, they're very visible to us, really render so much services over time. Iyak na talaga sa pagod minsan ang inaabot ng teachers natin for this job, which is actually outside of their scope of work. Di naman sila nagtuturo dito. They have just been tasked to perform this job over I don't know how many decades na, from I don't know how long. If somebody has a background, I would be interested to know how long the teachers have been doing this. And I'm curious to know kung ginagawa din ito ng trabaho din ba ng teachers to sa ibang bansa. I'm just really curious about it. But on that note, yeah, I understand and will hear it straight from the teachers' representatives themselves. I believe that there is a statement coming from some teachers' groups that what they receive is not income, but are in the nature of benefits that should not be subject to tax. So we will also be hearing the experts in the different government agencies that are involved. So on that note, colleagues, do you have any statement? Senator Gatchalian, Senator Pimentel? Senator Gatchalian, you are an author of one of the bills, so feel free if you'd like to say something.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. First of all, Madam Chair, let me thank the good chairperson for scheduling this hearing. And you accurately said that this is of great importance considering that the election is coming in a few weeks. Madam Chair, the responsibility given to the teachers during the elections is quite extraordinary in a sense that it's not part of their core responsibilities of teaching, but it's part of their responsibility in assuring that democracy is free and lively in our country, and of course protected. And with that, Madam Chair, there's a lot of risk that is involved during election time. In fact, I checked the latest data. The PNP already declared 190 hotspots in our country, election hotspots in our country, in which our teachers will be manning those polling areas. So exempting them from 20% withholding tax is a small recognition for their sacrifice and a small recognition for the extra mile that they demonstrated for our country in terms of assuring democracy. And just to give the body a simple computation, a chairperson of electoral board which is normally manned by a Teacher 3 category, will be receiving 9,500 pesos in terms of allowance. And if we exempt them from the 20% tax, the same teacher will receive an additional of 1,900 pesos. So it's a small token and a small recognition for the sacrifice and the extra mile that our teachers will provide in the coming elections. I know that we might not have time to approve this for this coming elections, but we have other elections coming within the year. The barangay elections might come at the end of the year, and other elections that will be manned by our teachers, like for example, the barn elections. So, Madam Chair, again, I'm asking for the support of our colleagues to support this measure in recognition for the sacrifices of our teachers during election time. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian. And Senator Pimentel, any comments, sir?
Thank you,
Statement.
Madam Chairwoman. I fully agree with the subject matter or the concept that we are pursuing. So I think the issue now would be on the mechanics na lang. So I hope we will be able to solve the details, the mechanics, so that the benefit will be felt by our teachers who are serving with the electoral boards. So thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you and congratulations for holding this hearing, and also to Senator Gatchalian for filing the bill. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat, dear colleagues. Okay, I'll just make a quick add a quick facts to what Senator Gatchalian added about the total amount being received by our teachers and other persons who perform services during the election period. The data I have based on COMELEC resolution number 10727 dated November 2021 states that the chairperson will receive a total of 9,500, the members of the electoral board 8,500, the DepEd supervisor official 9,000, support staff 7,000, and medical personnel 4,500. So that's the info I have coming from that COMELEC resolution I mentioned. I would like this confirmed later on by COMELEC. And then also you want to hear from the teachers kung may iba pa, is this it? Is there anything else? This is actually divided, the totals, the amounts I gave are totals, and that is composed of basic honorarium, travel allowance. Just for DepEd supervisors and support staff, there is a communication allowance, and then there is also an anti-COVID allowance. I suppose this is new for this election. Wala namang ganun dati. Okay, ano kaya yon? Sige, I'm curious kasi what will 500 cover, no? Siguro pambili ng mask, alcohol, etc. All right, so without further ado, let's proceed with our resource persons. Colleagues, since there's just 3 of us, feel free to interject clarifications. No need to wait for everyone to finish. I'll try to go through this briefly. May I just ask the resource persons, para I do not have to remind you, but I will, wag niyo na ho tayong magbasahan ng mahabang position paper. Just candidly state your statement kasi we can read the position papers. Busy din itong mga colleagues natin, especially Senator Gatchalian. May hearing pa pala tayo sa Monday, 2 other matters, and I hope our colleagues will join me also. So like I said, I prefer that you don't read your whole position paper. Just give us the highlights, and then we will ask you clarificatory questions if necessary. So our first speaker is from the Department of Finance, Director Arvin Lawrence Quiñones, and after him, I will call on BIR and then Commission on Elections. So please be ready. So DOF Director Quiñones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me clearly po?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you po, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this is to manifest the position of the DOF. We do not support the proposed tax exemption, while we recognize the objective of the measures to give additional benefits, especially to our teachers who will be rendering additional service on top of their current responsibilities. We do not support based on the following 3 points. Number one, the tax code defines taxable income, gross income rather, as any income derived from any source. And the BRR has ruled before that honoraria and allowances, no matter the amount, are wealth that flow into the hands of the recipients and so should be subject to the income tax. Number two, Madam Chair, the trade law before has already provided for relief. And we believe that this is enough to compensate for the additional service that the intended recipients might want to receive. Madam Chair. We have increased the threshold of exemption to 250,000 for the income tax, and then we have also increased the thresholds for the bonuses such as the 13th and the 14th month and other bonuses and benefits from 82,000 to 90,000. Lastly, Madam Chair, the proposed measures are counter to the principles of train law in making the tax system more efficient and equitable. First, we believe, Madam Chair, that the more exemptions we introduce, the more difficult it is to implement. And then lastly, Madam Chair, exempting one kind of activity, in this case, the electoral services that our teachers provide, will be inequitable to other similar activities that provide a similar kinds of benefits. So it's like saying that we want to prefer one service and give exceptions to them to the detriment of other similarly situated benefits. So that's what, Madam Chair, we express our objection on the proposed measures. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, colleagues, any questions at this point? Anyway, you can ask anytime, no? Pwede nyo naman balikan yung resource persons anytime. Director Quiñones, just a quick question, no? I am very much aware of DOF's general position on not granting exceptions given the, how do you put it, like it's more than housekeeping, no, that has been done in the last few years, no. The only reason why, well, obviously it's our job to listen to the different positions of members of our society, but I think the teachers are in a unique position na para bang labas na to dun sa trabaho nila, and it's almost as if they don't really have a choice in performing this duty. So in that sense, I'm curious to know. I'm very keen on knowing that I'm aware and understand the concern of DOF that this might open like a floodgate of requests for exemptions for everyone. Dahil lahat naman nangangailangan. I'm very familiar with that dahil I've always tried to support the needs of persons with persons who are not normally discriminated by society, no? So familiar ako dun sa need nila for support. But yun nga, ang question ko now is, ano pa ba yung similar exemptions na iniisip nyong baka mangyari pag pinagbigyan natin to? Like, what Pandora's box are we opening by doing this?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. To respond, right now I don't have a list of the specific exemptions, but really our concern is on the equitability and the efficiency of the tax system. Madam Chair, if we provide exemptions for this sector, then other sectors might clamor for the same. And then second po, Madam Chair, we believe in the DOF that the tax system is not the best way to provide additional benefits for the sectors. If we want to provide them with benefits, then we perhaps can check for other means po except the tax system, because the tax system may be subject for abuse and it will be more difficult to implement if we address the benefits through the tax system. That's it po, Madam Chair. Thank you po.
Okay, sige. Maybe later I'll have follow-up questions. All right, let's go to the next resource person from BIR, Attorney Christian Manahan, and then be ready Comelec and DepEd.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. It is Attorney Anne Lorraine Garcia from the BIR, Your Honor.
Okay. So hindi ito si Attorney Christian Manahan. This is
She's my
Attorney...
Anne Garcia.
Sorry?
Attorney Anne Garcia, Your Honor.
kaya nga, hindi ka nga si Attorney Christian Manahan. So what is
Yes
your
po.
position? Because it is it is Attorney Christian Manahan whose name was given to me. So you are Attorney Anne Lorraine Garcia, and
Garcia.
you are
Um,
what? You are what in BIR?
I'm on the Law and Legislative Division. She's my colleague, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Okay.
We are in the
All
same
right, so same
office.
division. Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So,
Wala ka bang kasi nag-iisa na nga ako dito, hindi ko pa makita yung mukha niyo. So, pwede ka bang mag-on ng camera, please? That's our general rule. Thank you.
okay po. Okay, good afternoon, Your
At least
Honor.
makita ni Senator Pimentel yung dami ng skraa dyan sa likod mo. Uso
Okay
pa ba
po.
yung skraa o digital na? Ano ba?
May digital na rin po, Madam.
Meron
Meron
na
na po
rin. So, mga
digital,
lumang
yes po.
version yon. Mga panahon pa namin ni Senator Pimentel yan. Mga 100 plus
Yes.
pa lang tayo. Nung tayo
Nasa-
nun, di ba, nung nag-200, parang
for-
pag-graduate na yata
For
ako.
for the record, ang ating chairwoman mas bata sa akin. So siya skra, ako Philippine Reports.
Ano? Sobra ka na. Ang panahon naman ng tatay natin yon. Ikaw naman. Okay, anyway, let's proceed. O yan, na at ease na si Attorney Ann kasi, nagpatawa si Senator Pimentel. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you po. Okay. Under current laws, all income is subject to tax unless there is a law expressly exempting the same. Thus, compensation is considered as a taxable income as defined in Section 32 of the Tax Code. And since there is no specific law, rules, or regulations exempting the same from income tax. However, please note that under the tax code, taxpayers who earn an aggregate annual income of 250,000 and below are exempt from income tax. Hence, if the total income of the teachers or any person who rendered services during election period, which includes the compensation from providing the said services, does not exceed the 250,000 limit, then the same shall be exempted from income tax. To reiterate, only the income in excess of the 250,000 limit shall be subject to income tax and consequently to withholding tax. Please be informed that the Bureau of Internal Revenue generally does not support any further grant of tax exemption or reductions through legislations, as this erodes on the revenue that the national government would have otherwise collected. Taxes are the lifeblood of the government, and their prompt and certain availability is an imperious need, especially in times of national emergency, when the government all the more needs funds to address such national emergency or state of calamity and to alleviate with utmost possibility the condition of the Filipino people and the Philippine economy. However, if the passage of these bills into law is the desire of the Congress and the Congress believes that it will be for the best interest of the Filipino people, then the Bureau humbly submits to the wisdom of the Congress. Thank you. We have no further comments.
Okay, thank you for that. Later on, based on this, I have some questions here for COMELEC and DepEd, so paki-include na lang din sa statement nyo. How many people are we talking about, no, who are receiving these kinds of honorarias and allowances? So ilan sila? And then BIR, from, I guess, 3 years ago, do you have a record of how much was collected by virtue of these services in connection with election? Do you have that number?
Madam Chair, as of now, I don't have that information, but I can coordinate with one of the divisions here in the Bureau, and we can include that in our position paper, Your Honor.
Okay, or after the COMELEC and or DepEd gives us a number, can you make a quick computation on that? Kahit estimate, di ba? Let's try.
Okay, we'll try, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Okay. Anyway, so let's move forward. Let's call on COMELEC to be represented by Attorney Roseanne de la Cruz Reyes. Are you that person?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good
There
afternoon.
you are. Okay.
Good
And then
afternoon.
just to be ready lang, sorry, let me just tell them to be ready. DepEd, and then after DepEd, we'll call the teachers organization, starting with ACT Teachers, Teachers Dignity Coalition, Philippine Public School Teachers Association. Okay, sige, Attorney Roseanne of COMELEC. Yes, please proceed.
Yes, Madam Chair. We would like to manifest, Madam Chair, that we have already submitted our position paper on the legislative measures exempting the honoraria travel allowances from the income tax. Per record, it was emailed to the committee on October 30, 2020. In our position paper, Madam Chair, we manifested our support for the passage of the legislative measure to exempt the honoraria, travel allowances, and other benefits from income tax compensation, primarily for the benefit of the electoral boards, TESO, and the support staff. We also submitted, Madam Chair, that the honoraria should not be should not be subjected to compensation in income tax because first these teachers are not actually personnel or employees of the COMELEC, and then it is neither a professional fee because because you're because Madam Chair, we have stated there that they do not the poll workers do not fall under the enumeration under those um, person subject to professional fees because when they engage in election service, they do not engage in the practice of their profession, but it is they voluntarily they are employed for they are just rendering election service voluntarily, Your Honor. That's our that's the gist of our position paper, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So let me now call on DepEd to be represented by USEC Josephine Maribohok, USEC for Legal Affairs.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to our good senators and the rest of the body. For the DepEd, Madam Chair, we sent the position letter of the Secretary. I hope the committee received it. It was sent, I think, today. And for purposes of the position of DepEd, Madam Chair, for the benefit of the body, if I may be allowed to just read a portion of the letter of the Secretary. So this is the position of DepEd. The DepEd understands the legislative intent of the bills. We also understand the plight of our teachers. I, referring to Secretary Briones, have consistently engaged the national government for increased benefits. However, under the law, the Department of Finance shall be responsible, open quote, for the formulation, institutionalization, and administration of fiscal policies in coordination with other concerned subdivisions, agencies, and instrumentalities of government, close quote, and open quote, for the generation and management of the financial resources of government, ensuring that said resources are generated and managed judiciously and in a manner supportive of development objectives. Relatedly, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, which is under the supervision and control of the DOF, has the powers and duties on open quote assessment and collection of all national internal revenue taxes, fees and charges, and the enforcement of all forfeitures, penalties, and fines connected therewith. Close quote. In deference to the DOF and BIR, with mandates pertaining to taxes and exemption therefrom, it is the position of the DepEd that these agencies may be in the best position to provide comments on the subject bills. Thank you. Very truly yours, signed, Leonor Magtolis Briones. That is the position, Madam Chair, of the DepEd. For the numbers requested, Madam Chair, may I request my colleague, Attorney Bragado, to provide the numbers. If
Yes,
you may be
can we-
recognized, Madam
Can we
Chair.
recognize Attorney Bragado? Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank
Good
you.
afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you, Yusek Maribohok. Ma'am, if I may be recognized and be allowed to share some figures. po.
Yes, please proceed, Director. Yes.
Ma'am, for the information of everyone, during the 2019 elections, we have 531,000, more or less, DepEd personnel. Just to give context po, that includes not only the electoral board, the teachers, but also involve personnel from DepEd, non-teaching, who acted as DESO or DepEd supervising official, support staff, technical support staff, and board of canvassers. So this 2022 elections, ma'am, because of the increase in the number of registered voters, the COMELEC has increased the number of clustered precincts. So we have 106,000 clustered precincts. If we will multiply that by 3, ma'am, representing the electoral board, we will be having 319,317 electoral board members. Plus the
Repeat the
DESO,
number. What is that? 390,000?
319,317.
Okay.
That's the electoral board lang po yan, ma'am. As I've said, there are also DepEd personnel who are also assigned as DESO or the supervising official. There are also DepEd personnel assigned as support staff and technical support staff and board of canvassers. So, ma'am, we are looking a figure more or less 600,000 po. DepEd personnel who will work with COMELEC in these elections po.
And thank you for that, Director. And what about the amounts that they are receiving? Were you able to did you hear the numbers I put on record earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Are those may
uh,
kompleto ba yon or kulang pa yon?
Ma'am, kompleto ma'am. I'll just make a breakdown para malinaw po. There were increase po for these 2022 elections from the honoraria given in 2019. Ang rate po ngayon, just to break down po, ang electoral board, ang chairman po ay 7,000.
Yes, I have
from
that.
6,000. Opo. Ang mga members po, fourth third member is 6,000. Ang
Yes.
nadagdag po ma'am is yung kanilang travel allowance ay nag-increase from 1,000 to 2,000. And meron po silang,
Ano tama, 2,000, yes.
yes
Okay.
ma'am. Given po yan, ay bibigay sa final testing and sealing yung 1,000. Yung another 1,000 po pagkatapos nung receive nung
Okay,
kanilang
okay.
paraphernalia. Then ang another additional monetary benefit ay yung tinatawag nilang anti-COVID-19 allowance, 500 pesos po 'yon. Na ibibigay
Yes.
po. So yun ma'am yung changes po na honoraria. So based on the COMELEC resolution 10727, tama po yung inyong pronouncement kanina with regard to the total amount of benefits and allowances.
Okay. My other question is kasi what I have here in my notes, no, based on that resolution is support staff. You also mentioned technical staff. So magkaiba pa ba 'yon or same naman yung category ng support staff and technical staff receiving 3,000 basic honorarium and 2,000 travel allowance, 1,500 communication allowance and anti-COVID allowance of 500. Tama ba? Same ang support staff and technical?
Magkaiba po ma'am in the sense na ang support staff po is support staff ng electoral board, yung isa. Yung isa technical support staff po ay support staff ng DESO.
Ang technical support is what? I didn't hear that clearly.
Naka-assign po siya ma'am sa DESO. Yung
Okay.
DepEd supervising official. Ang lumalabas ma'am, yung communication allowance po, ang makaka-receive lang noon yung technical support staff. Yung 1,500. Yun po yung difference ma'am.
Technical support staff receives communication allowance. So the other support staff is not receiving receiving communication allowance.
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am. Tama po kayo.
Okay. Sige, hold on.
Is that from the board or this is just your summary? Bakit ganun? It's from the COMELEC.
Can we Can we clear that ha? Kasi this is from COMELEC. Baka magkagulo din kayo dyan sa bayaran kasi I'm told that COMELEC, well, what I'm reading doesn't have the distinction that you mentioned. So I just want to be sure na and the basis for releasing this funding is that COMELEC resolution, right? So baka mamaya magkagulo kayo dyan kung may 1,500 lahat ng support staff and you're telling me now that it's just the technical staff that has that communication allowance, right? And of course, DepEd supervisor official, the DESO, right? Meron din sila nung communication allowance, no?
Yes, ma'am. Siguro, ma'am, the COMELEC can confirm that, but based on our information po kasi with the trainings that we have, yun po yung
Okay,
increase.
let's go back to COMELEC quickly kasi mahirap yan.
Yes,
Di
ma'am.
pa nga tayo all in agreement on the exemption from taxation, but on the compensation itself. I don't want that to be unclear. COMELEC, please. Si Attorney Roseanne.
Yes,
Can
Madam
you
Chair.
confirm?
Yes, Madam Chair. Under the resolution, we have the honoraria shall be given to the chairperson of the electoral boards, member of the electoral boards, the DESOs, the support staff, and the medical personnel. For the communication allowance, it will be given to the DESO and the DESO technical support staff. Your Honor.
DESO and the technical support staff. Kasi
DESO
nga,
technical support staff.
what's the difference between support staff and technical support staff? Because sa DepEd, si Yusek Maribohok is saying that it's only the technical, and you are now referring to technical support staff. So I thought from DepEd those are two different positions.
Madam Chair, with your permission, may I refer you to our representative from the Finance Service Department to
Sure. Who's that?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who's that?
I think Richard is here. Richard.
I don't see a Richard, and no one is
Ah.
responding to the name Richard. You want to just try to contact him? Let's proceed, and then you contact him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you're raising your hand, Yusek Maribohok.
Ma'am,
Or
it's
who's
Director Bragado, ma'am.
Director? Sorry, Director.
Bragado po.
Bragado, Madam
Opo.
Chair.
Ma'am, if I may share my little knowledge po on the distinction. The support staff po, ma'am, of the electoral board will provide support services to the electoral board, the three persons inside the polling precinct. The technical support staff po will be assisting the DESO in the troubleshooting of the vote counting machines po. Just in case there are problems with regard to the functionality and operations of the vote counting machine.
So again, may I be clear? So there is a difference between the support staff and the technical support staff. Those are two different categories. Kasi that's what you told me earlier,
Yes, ma'am.
Director.
Yes,
Those are
ma'am.
two different categories. And then you said only the technical support staff has communication allowance. So the other kind of support staff does not have communication allowance. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So are you confirming that now?
Yes, ma'am. For DepEd, that's what we learned po from the trainings that we have.
Attorney Roseanne, are you confirming what he is saying? Kasi you referred to technical support lang. You did not make that distinction. I am confused. Or are we still waiting for Richard?
Madam Chair, Richard is already on the screen right now. I can see him.
Okay, Mr. Richard, please introduce yourself and state your position.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I can hear you.
Mahina ang boses nyo. May mic ka ba?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I am Richard po from the Finance Services Department, Accounting Division po.
Ang hirap mong pakinggan, pero sige, I will try.
Yes po. Based on our records here po, the DESO support staff will receive the following po. For the honoraria, 3,000 po. For the rate of travel allowance, 2,000. Anti-COVID allowance, 500. And communication allowance, 500 po.
No, my question is simple. Is there only one kind of support staff or are there two kinds? Is there a technical support staff and a support staff na hindi technical? Because Director Brigado said only the technical support staff gets the communication allowance. So I'm just trying to understand. So merong ibang klaseng support staff that do not get that allowance? That's the question.
Madam Chair, may I answer the question now?
You can, sure.
Yes. Madam Chair, under the resolution, yes, there are two kinds of support staff. It is defined in the resolution. If I may read, Madam Chair, for the DESO technical support staff, it referred to the persons appointed to provide the PCM technical support, while the support staff referred to the persons appointed to assist the members of the electoral boards and the DESO in the performance of their duties. So to answer your question, Madam Chair, yes, there are two kinds of support staff, Your Honor. And for the communication allowance, it will only be given to a DESO technical support staff, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Pointing out, maybe we can resolve this later so that we can move on. The resolution itself refers to support staff only, okay? Kaya nakakalito. Under honoraria, it just says support staff. Walang difference, no? And then sa communication naman, it says DESO and DESO technical support staff. So hindi nakasama si support staff. So liwanagin na lang natin lahat 'yon. That's for you guys, no? Ang sa part ko lang naman is what are these total allowance kasi the bill refers to all the allowances and honoraria. So I just don't want there to be issues as to what exactly. So maybe COMELEC and DepEd can talk to each other and give me a memo na joint nyo si Nine para clear tayo na ano-ano itong mga nare-receive nila. All right?
Madam Chair, if I may, for the COMELEC, Madam Chair, we will submit that approved list of allowances approved by the Commission and Bank, Your Honor.
Okay, sige. Okay, let's move on. So let's now go to the teachers organization. Let's start with ACT Teachers, then Be Ready Teachers Dignity Coalition, and then Philippine Public School Teachers Association. So for ACT Teachers, Mr. Vladimir Cuetoa, the ACT NCR Union President. Sir, you have the floor.
Okay, magandang tanghali, Madam Chair. Malinaw po ba ang aking audio? Madam Chair? Hello po.
I hear you, but I don't mind.
Yes.
Maybe our own can improve it just so
Ay,
that don't have to strain to hear you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So magandang hapon sa lahat po. Salamat ang ACT at dahil nabuksan yung matagal na naming naing, no? So ang tindig po ng Alliance of Concerned Teachers, Madam Chair, if I may, meron po kaming pinasang presentation. Okay lang po ba?
Yes, okay lang. Go ahead. I have a copy, but go ahead. Keep it short lang, no?
Apo. Okay.
Go ahead.
Apo. Ang tindig po ng Alliance of Concerned Teachers ay tanggalin yung buwis, no, sa election service compensation. Sa totoo lang po, maayon sumusuporta po yung ACT sa pagpapasa ng SB 117, SB 113 at SB 2456 kasi ang layunin naman po talaga ng mga batas na ito ay wag isama
Wait lang, sir. Can I just be sure that are you already flashing a slide? Just because hindi ko pa nakikita dito and I want to be sure na nakikita din ng mga ibang senators and other participants, no? So I'm just checking sa okay, ayan, meron starting to share content. Okay, all right,
Ayan.
go ahead.
Madam Chair, okay. So yun po, umaayon, sumusuporta po yung ACT sa pagpapasa ng SB 117 at SB 113 at SB 2456. Next slide please. Dahil layunin ng tatlong panukalang batas na po ito na huwag isama sa kwenta, no, ng gross income ang honorarium at allowances para sa election service at huwag itong patawan ng buwis, no. Sa katunayan, Madam Chair, mula 2018 barangay at SK election ng 2019 at midterm election rather ay tuloy-tuloy po yung panawagan ACT na tanggalin yung buwis sa election service compensation bilang pagtataguyod po sa layunin ng RA 10756 o itinatawag na Election Service Reform Act, no, at 2016, no. Sa katunayan, Madam Chair, walang tax ang compensation ng BI simulat sa pool. Walang anumang batas na nagsasaad na dapat patawan ng buwis ang election service honorarium at allowance. Walang anumang bahagi ng RA 10756 ang nagtatakda para magbago ang tax treatment sa election service compensation. Madam Chair, hindi nakakadagdag sa yaman ng BI ang election service compensations. Kaya nakakalungkot, malaking bahagi po nito, Madam Chair, ay napupunta po sa aktual na gastos sa pamasahe, pagkain, load at para makagana yung araw-araw na paggampan sa gawain po sa eleksyon. Kung naman po yung napakaliit na natitira, Madam Chair, ay mahilon tulad po ito sa maliliit na allowance na natatanggap ng mga kawani ng pamahalaan na katulad ng pinapataw, no, na hindi naman pinapatawan po ng buwis, Madam Chair, katulad po ng PERAA, floating allowance, teaching supplies, no, at iba pang allowance na nakukuha nito. No. Sa totoo lang, Madam Chair, sinisira ng pagpataw ng buwis yung diwa at layunin ng ESRA. Dahil layunin po ng ESRA, Madam Chair, nasuklian po yung sakripisyo at hirap ng mga nagsisilbi sa halalan. Napakalaki po ng hirap ng mga BI. Andyan po ang kasama ko, si Teacher Louie, si Teacher Sang, no? Katubas po ng 6 hanggang 10 araw. Yung gawain nito sa halalan, Madam Chair, nandyan po yung sinasabi namin, 10 hanggang 10 araw. Wala pong pagtaas, Madam Chair, sa totoo lang, no, sa election service compensation noong 2019 kahit isinasaad na ng ESRA, no, sa review sa halaga ng compensation kada 3 taon. May bahagyang pataas, Madam Chair, sa honorarium at allowance ngayon 2022, ngunit mapupunta lamang halos lahat ito sa pagpato po ng 20% buwis. No. Sa totoo lang, Madam Chair, doble ang mga panganib na susuungin na mga nagbabantay sa halalang 2022 dahil sa pandemya. Nariyan pa rin po yung panganib sa buhay at kaligtasan, panganib na makasuhan. Higit po yung pagod ng mga guro dahil sa gitna ng school year ay yung pagsasagawa po ng halalan. Tunay at napabigat na hindi makatarungan ang pagpato ng buwis, Madam Chair, sa election service compensation. Marapat lamang na maipasa ang batas na magtatanggal sa buwis sa honorarium at allowance sa pagsisilbi sa halalan. Madam Chair, para iwasto po yung maling pagpataw na ng buwis sa election service, ihiling po namin noong nakarang eleksyon ay magkaroon ng mga probisyon ng batas na ito na retroactive applications para may balik po, Madam Chair, yung buwis na naunang kinaltas na sa mga nagsisilbi sa halalan na maaring sa forma ng tax credit. Madam Chair, sa uling bahagi ng presentation ko, makikita nyo po dyan yung sinasabi. No, malilito ang iba, nalilito, tumaas nga ba, may mga compensation, meron nga bang dagdag na compensation? Madam Chair, makikita nyo sa dulong bahagi, ang gross lamang po ay 2,000, pero sa katotohanan lang po ay 250 po lamang po ito. No, may dalawa po kaming presentation diyan sa Maynila at saka sa probinsya. Sa huli, Madam Chair, no, sana ay maging ganap na itong batas na ito at sana mayroong retroactive provisions. Ang panawagan ng ACT teachers ay dagdagan at huwag kaltasan ang mga guro sa pagbabantay sa eleksyon. Yun lamang, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Mr. Cueta. Before I call on the next, based dun sa presentation ng ACT, can I just ask COMELEC and BIR or any of the agencies that can respond, can you put on record on the side of the government, kailan ba unang na-tax ang itong honoraria and allowances ng teachers? COMELEC, Attorney Rozan. Anyway, Mr. Cueta, from your records, kailan una kayong na-tax for this?
Madam Chair, pwede yung makatulong sa akin dyan, yung actual na nagbantay noong 2019. Kasi po ako ay nagbantay noong 2018 pa. Madam Risa? Ayan po, si Madam Teacher Risa.
Magandang
Si
gabi
Risa.
po. Opo.
Sige,
Madam
full
Chair.
name please. Full name and your position in ACT, please.
Risa Bantilan po. Risa Bantilan, ang Villamor High School, member po ng ACT.
Teacher,
Yeah.
high school teacher. Tama ba? Tama yung rinig ko? High school teacher?
2019 lang. High school teacher po.
High school.
Opo.
Okay, go ahead.
Opo.
Sige, go ahead, Teacher Risa.
Last election 2019 lang po nagsimula, pero ang tax po nun ay 5%. Kaya po ngayon nagugulat kami bakit biglang naging 20% na kung saan nakapag nalaman lang ng mga BEI o ng EB nung nakapirma na kami ng contract sa COMELEC, no? And then mayroon pa sa aming pinapagawa, Madam Chair, yung PNPKI, LMS sa DOST exam, na kung saan dapat meron kami din ditong load allowance or communication allowance kasi nag-internet, gumagamit kami ng load para lang matugunan namin yung PNPKI na kung saan kailangan yung e-signature dun sa magiging ballot, no? Resulta. Yan po.
Hindi ba yun yung communication allowance, yung binabanggit nyo? Yung paggamit nyo ng internet?
Ang mga chairman po, sorry po. Ang mga chairman po at ang second member ay hindi po kasama dun sa mayroong communication allowance.
So yung communication allowance na yon, you're saying that the communication allowance does not include the parang Wi-Fi connectivity, ganon?
Opo.
It's not.
Kasi
Okay.
nung mga nakaraang election, hindi naman po kami nire-require na mag-enroll sa PNPKI, na magkaroon ng LMS at magkaroon ng exam online sa DOST. Ngayon po, mayroon na kaming ganyan. Nire-require kami actually ng COMELEC na gumawa niyaan. So pero, abonado.
Ano yun? Sorry
Nag-abono na-
medyo hindi ko masyado maintindihan yung sinasabi nyo. Sabi nyo, ngayon lang kayo ni-require something DOST. Ano yun? Pakiulit lang.
Yung exam po, mayroon kaming practical
Ayan, that's clearer.
exam. Opo.
Clear. Mas
Tapos
klaro ka
mayroon
na
din-
ngayon. Exam.
May practical exam po kami. And then may online exam kami. Yung
Bago lang
DOST
yan?
po. Para sa akin po bago kasi ngayon po ako uli umupo sa eleksyon. Uupo sa eleksyon.
So requirement yan ng COMELEC, itong practical and online exam.
Opo.
Anong kinalaman nito dun sa tanong ko kung kasama ang Wi-Fi, yung sinasabi nyo na hindi kayo binibigyan ng internet allowance, tas tinanong kita, sabi ko, hindi ba kasama dun sa communications, yung internet, and then ito yung kasi yung sinagot mo eh. So, ano ba yung connection nun?
Based po kanina sa sinabi po ng COMELEC, wala po kaming communication allowance yung mga EB. Yung chairman, yung second member. Hindi po kami part ng communication allowance na ibibigay nila.
Yung members of the EB, wala nga. Wala kayong communication allowance. That's what
Opo.
you're saying.
Opo.
So, tanggap nyo na ang internet expense is a communication allowance, except that wala ang members ng EB nun. Wala rin ang chairman based dito sa sa files
Opo.
ko.
Kaya nga, Madam Chair, kaya nga po masakit isipin na ganito, mayroon na sa aming advance na pinapagawa ang COMELEC, and then sobra-sobra pa yung pagtatrabaho na gagawin ng mga teacher, kumbaga sa 50-50 ang buhay namin ngayong panahon ng pandemya, doble ang kakaharapin namin.
That the Wi-Fi is not covered. It's just saying communication.
Pero
May communication covered na yun. They're saying
Nasa
na
gitna
for us to do online
kami ng
exam.
school year, kung
Pero-
ano nagtuturo.
Okay. Hirap ko mag-connect the
Kung
dots.
saan online na nagtuturo, and then nandito kami sa gitna ng pandemya na kung saan iniisip pa rin namin na paano kami halimbawa na kung mahawaan halimbawa ng COVID, napakahirap patunayan na during our service sa election, magkaka-COVID kami. Hindi po ba? So kaya nga, napakasakit isipin na sa ganitong nasa sitwasyon tayo ng pandemic election, ay papatawan pa ang mga guro ng 20% na tax. So kung base dun sa presentation kanina ni Teacher Vlad, yung mayroon ng increase, no? Na binabanggit ang DepEd, yun nga ang nakakalungkot, mismo ang ahensya namin ay hindi namin kakampi dito sa tax exemption, no? Na inilalaban ng mga teachers, di ba? Kaya nga napakasakit, no, na 20% pa yung babawasin, napakalaki, may increase nga pero napakalaki naman yung 20%. Binawi lang yung increase na sinasabi nila dun sa tax. Yun po, Madam Chair. Thank you po.
Okay, salamat. Bubuin ko lang yung pagkaintindi ko dun sa sagot mo, no? Yung sagot ko, yung tanong yung katanungan ko kasi is yung pinasa ka ni Teacher Vlad, sinabi mo na walang binibigay sa inyo na budget or allowance for internet. And then after that, inexplain mo na merong required na practical and online exam. So tinanong kita na, so anong connection nun dun sa sinabi mong walang internet? Kasi ang alam ko meron ngang communication allowance. And so I think what you're saying is two things. Number one, for the chairperson and the members of the EB, wala silang communication allowance. And yet, they are required to take an online exam. So it's because of that online exam, syempre kailangan mo ng internet connectivity. Yun ba yung reason na sinasabi mo? Yun ba ang ibig mo sabihin na wala kayong walang binibigay na allowance for the internet kasi may obligasyon kayong mag-take ng online exam tapos wala namang counterpart na budget para doon. Yun ba yung ibig mo sabihin?
Opo, Madam Chair.
Na-capture ko. Wala naman kayong ibang responsibility, and I'm referring to the chairperson and the member of the EB, kasi to be clear, ang DepEd supervisor and ang support staff na technical, meron namang communication allowance. So si chairperson and si member of the EB, ano ang saan dun sa responsibilities nyo nangangailangan kayo ng internet connectivity other than online exam? Meron pang iba?
Yung sa PNPKI po na kailangan yung pag nag-print na po kami ng balot, nandun na po yung e-signature ng 3 member ng EB. Bibigyan ka po ng certificate, no? After that, and then pagkatapos na ng election, nandun na po yung e-signature. Kaya kailangan po makapag-enroll ka sa PNPKI.
So, they enrolled in the PNPKI, they need the PNPKI daw po, International Public Infrastructure under the Exemption.
So itong ano ba yun? PNNN KTI, tama ba? Just to be clear, itong PNPKI, anong kinalaman nito sa internet connectivity? Kindly educate us.
Through online din po namin yan, ma'am, sasagutan. Maraming mga instruction doon para
Ayun, okay.
ma-fulfill
During,
namin
no? Yun yung sinasabi mong in connection with the submission. Pag-submit
Opo.
nyo nung may signature na online na naman kayo dyan. Yun yung point mo.
Opo.
Okay. So, dalawang instances. Pag-take ng exam at saka pag-submit nitong mga or connect nyo dito sa PNPKI requirements, etc.
Madam
Tama?
Chair, baka pwede pong may magsasalita galing sa Manila Public School teacher, ang aking kasama po na si
Oo, pero mamaya
President
ko pa sila tatawagin, Manila Public
sige po.
School.
Sige po.
Sige, kung konektado din dito, di sige, sumagot na kayo. Pero kung gusto nyo
Later
antayin
na
yung
lang
turn
po.
nyo, ha?
Later na lang daw po.
Okay.
Thank you po.
O sige, so kiniklear ko lang kasi kung ano yung obligasyon na sinasabi mong connected dun sa gastos nyo sa internet connectivity, tas hindi naman kayo binigyan ng allowance. Nililiwanag ko lang yon, okay? So, kung may further explanation mamaya ang ibang teachers, go ahead or you can send it to me in writing kasi importante yan, di ba? Sabi nyo nga, may buwis na nga, may dagdag pa na gastos pala. Alright, sige. So, proceed tayo. Salamat sa inyong dalawa, Teacher Risa tsaka kay Teacher Vlada, NCR Union President. So, let's now go to Teachers Dignity Coalition, Mr. Benjo Basas, National Chairperson. Ay,
Yes,
sorry. Bago kayo katawagin, Teacher Benjo, 1 minute. Kasi may nabanggit kasi si Teacher Risa Bantilan about yung dati daw nung 2019, it's just 5%. So can I get COMELEC and BIR to comment on this na historically wala and then nung 2019 naging 5% ang tax. Ano ba basis nung mga yon? Nung wala at saka nung 5%, tapos ngayon ano na, mas malaki. COMELEC and please, and BIR comments please. Hello, BIR.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Yes, Attorney Ann,
Yes po. Regarding the 5%, we believe that it is the professional fee withholding tax, but
Yes.
we already issued several rulings in 2018 that we already ruled that the honoraria, travel allowance, and other benefits received from COMELEC will be treated as compensation and subject to withholding tax and compensation and not to professional fees of 5%, Your Honor.
Okay, let me summarize that. In 2019, the teachers who participated or performed services in connection with the election were charged 5% based on the 5% tax on professional services. And then, nagkaroon ng BIR rulings that said, hindi kayo nagpa-perform ng professional services kasi hindi naman yung pagka-teacher nyo ang ginagamit nyong skills during election. Therefore, dagdagan natin yung tax nyo. Ganon, ano? Ganon ang nangyari. Tama ba? Ganon ang nangyari, right? Dagdagan natin, gawin nating 20% based on the general provision on honorarias, allowances that are received. Tama?
With all due respect, Your Honor, the BIR is only implementing the provisions in the tax code, and to categorize the income that was received by the teachers, it is not, or it is improper to categorize it as a professional fee since they are not performing as teachers, or the services provided or not the services as a teacher, but
Yes.
other services. So considering that, it will fall under the gross income, which is subject or will be considered as compensation. That's why it is subject to withholding tax and compensation and not to professional fees, Your Honor.
O, yun na nga yung sinabi ko. I just described it as tumaas yung income. Yun lang pinagkaiba dun sa sinabi natin. Sinabi ko lang yung reality na ang effect nun is tumaas yung tax nila, not tumaas yung income, tumaas yung tax, di ba? Kasi the professional fee was 5% and
Yes.
the compensation tax is 20%.
Is 20%. But I would like to
20%
clarify.
withholding. And then it is basically subject to your entire income, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes daw yung chorus ng magagaling kong staff.
Yes. Actually, Your Honor, to clarify, it would be the income that is received by the teachers and other persons serving or rendered services during the election period will be totaled with the other income they received for the whole year. And
Yes,
if
yes.
the income would be in excess of the 250,000, then it would be subject to the 20%
Correct.
based on the aggregated rate. But if
Correct.
it's less than the 250,000, it would be exempt.
But I think the starting pay, and correct me if I'm wrong, for teachers is 18,000, di ba? Sa public school. Tama ba? Tama, Teacher Vlad? 18,000, di ba? So halos, anyone with a higher, 23, mali pa pala ako. Ibang era pa pala yung iniisip ko. Baka nung chairman pa ako ng Committee on Education, sorry. 23, di lahat sila, lagpas na sila, natatawa si Teacher Vlad, nandun pa ako sa panahon na mas mababa yung tama naman na nadagdagan na, masaya naman ako. Yun na nga, so 23,000 si Teacher 1, so lahat sila, hindi na sila exempt, hindi na sila pasok dun sa exemption, magbabayad na sila for the, excess of that. Anyway, that's just for the record. So may I know from both COMELEC and BIR nga, bakit dati walang tax? Kasi we went from no tax to 5% to now 20% withholding and possibly more if the total income is more. I mean, I'm just trying to be here, like let's just understand the scenario. Syempre kung teacher ka, 'di ba? Walang tax ka dati, so tas biglang 5, pwede na. I don't know kung umangal sila nung 5% yan, tas ngayon 20, medyo mabigat na. Can anyone answer that? Kasi they are tying it, there are some who are tying it into the law that was passed, the electoral reform law that was passed, nung pumasa doon, parang nagkaroon na ng usapang taxation na dati naman wala. That's why may statement ang act na wala namang basis kasi wala naman nakalagay daw dun sa law. And obviously I know that when it comes to taxation laws, no, that's we interpret it in favor of government. Yun talaga ang jurisprudence natin. Pero ang point naman is, bakit dati wala? I know bata ka pa, Attorney Ann, so baka wala kang historical data.
Actually, Your Honor,
I don't
have
mean it in a derogatory way, ha. I just meant na baka may matatanda na dyan. Eh, si Senator Pimentel, naamin naman niya mas matanda siya sa akin. Baka may alam siyang background.
Your Honor, I don't have the historical data, but we are to implement what the law says, and generally, whatever income you have will be taxable unless there's a law expressly exempting the
Yes.
same. Since
Yes.
today, since this law has been passed, then there's no exempting provision included in the law. Therefore, it should be taxed. And then that's why we are.
But did the law create the acts that they are performing? Di ba dati pa nila pino-perform yung acts na yon? And it was not taxed in the past. Di ba parang the law just acknowledged the work that they were performing that were not being taxed in the past?
There's a possibility, Madam Chair, that the income they are receiving, because previous to the train law, there's a different graduated rate of for the income tax rates. So we have to coordinate with the other divisions of this bureau. But as far as we know, all the income received by any person, unless otherwise exempt by any law, will be taxed, Your Honor.
Just raising his hand.
Okay. Sige. Anyway, noted naman yan. Senator Gatchalian.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Madam Chair, I was listening intently and have a few questions to DOF. I heard the argument of DOF, and one of which is the reason why they are not in favor of this proposal is because of inefficiency. I just want to understand from the DOF how
Senator Gatchalian, nawala kayo. Nawala
Oh,
kayo.
sorry.
You said we want to understand from DOF and then we didn't hear you.
Sorry.
Please repeat.
Yeah, I just want to understand, Madam Chair, from DOF, how can this proposal how can this proposal affect train, and how can this proposal be inefficient in light of train? So I just want to understand from the DOF their arguments against this proposal.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. To respond to the question po, Madam Chair, what we espouse po in trade is to make the tax system simpler and more efficient to implement. So the position of the DOF with regard to any proposal vying for exemption for any particular group is that any exemption outside of the norm tends to complicate the administration and implementation of the tax system. That's what we meant in our statement, Madam Chair. Thank you po.
But Madam Chair, I'm looking at the tax code. There are several exemptions already. In fact, there are numerous exemptions. Let me just cite one. 30-month pay is exempted. So in other words, my point there is exempting is not extraordinary. It's not something outside of the tax code. If we can exempt 13-month pay, we can exempt prizes and awards in sports competition. We have actually there are numerous exemptions here. So how can a one-time exemption every 3 years make it inefficient? So I'm trying to understand that argument. If we are already giving exemptions under the tax code, which are regular exemptions like 13-month pay, which is yearly, and then there are others here in the tax code. This is once every 3 years. So how can this make it inefficient? I want to understand the DOF's argument.
Madam Chair, as we have fought for the train law and also for the rest of the packages from the tax reform, is that we want to rationalize the exemptions and the incentives that we have been giving. And then it's rooted in these exemptions po kasi to the norm that we are being vulnerable for abuse with regard to and leakages, meaning that it's while the intentions to introduce exemptions for a particular sector is laudable. It's not always the case that the intended recipients get the intended benefits. There are numerous cases in the past wherein unintended recipients are receiving the exemptions or the incentives. So, Madam Chair, as a matter of a policy, it's the position of the DOF that any position or any proposal for exemption or incentive has to be studied carefully and that we do not want to complicate the current tax system. So we object against such measures, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Can you cite a specific instance or any example that led to leakages for this particular proposal? For example, in 2019, we had 5%. We gave, well, prior to that, there was no tax being levied on allowances during election time. And can you cite any example or any instances where this was abused? I want to get to specifics so that I will appreciate your arguments, because obviously when you made that argument, you probably had some experiences in the past that led to leakages. And I agree, we should plug the leakage, we should make it as simple as possible. But I want to appreciate it some more, appreciate your argument some more by giving some examples.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. As a matter of fact, I am not privy to such details as the Senator is asking. But again, going back to the main argument of the DOF that any policy for exemption, we usually we object against because that's the argument that we are espousing, especially in the tax reform, that we want the tax system to be efficient, and that if we really want to support these sectors, for example, these teachers who are rendering election services, then the tax system is not the best way to address them, Madam Chair. That's our position on these matters. We have to address them. Yes, we have to support them, but the tax system is not the best way to do it, Madam Chair. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to complete the discussion, to Mr. Arvin, just submit to the committee. Can you look into your records if you have any instances in the past where this type of leakages, this type of leakages or problems emanating from this type of exemptions happened in the past? Just give us just submit to the committee so that we can read it and appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those questions, Mr. Senator Gatchalian, and thank you for your responses, Director Quiñones. So let us proceed. Teacher's Dignity, si Mr. Benjo. Ayan, nakangiti na si Mr. Benjo. Ready na magbigay ng kanyang position paper ng Teachers Dignity Coalition, the National Chairperson. Please proceed, sir.
Yes, Madam Chair, magandang hapon po at maraming salamat po. Iksi lamang po, pero bago ko po bigkasin yung aming position, siguro it's around 2 to 3 sentences lamang po. I just like to clarify din po, kasi we had a meeting with COMELEC Commissioner Garcia and the Director for Finance Services po, Attorney Niedo, last April 4. Doon po nag-clarify sila, kasi iba-iba yung amount na naintindihan ko po kayo, Madam Chair, kanina, iba-iba yung amount na lumalabas sa media and then yung sinasabi din ng DepEd and in fact ng COMELEC. So it was clarified po na the total amount would be 10,000 for the chair of the EB. Bakit po? So supposedly 9,500 lamang po diyan sa binabasa po natin na GI, no, na General Instructions, yung COMELEC resolution po, no. Pero as per the head of the Finance Services, ang sinasabi po, pati daw po yung EB, no, I mean the chair and the 2 members of the EB ay bibigyan na rin ng communication allowance, no, at yun daw ay meron ng minute resolution, at yun na yung kwenta na ginagawa ng COMELEC during that time, that was April 4, ano po, no, at pero hinihintay pa rin daw nila kasi hindi pa nalabas yung minute resolution that time, no. Kaya po kami, pag naglalabas po kami ng statement sa media, statement sa public po, ang aming reference ay 10,000 pesos. Ano po, because we have that additional 500, no, for communication, supposedly, no, for communication allowance, no, na hindi lamang po para doon sa DESO at support staff, kundi pati doon sa mga EB, no. Siguro maganda po ma-clarify ito ng COMELEC, no, ngayon po, ngayong mga oras po na to, no. Padalwa, Madam Chair, isa pang patunay, no, na that teachers, no, the allowances and honoraria, no, are being taxed, no, ay ito pong nagbibigay yung COMELEC, by the way, hindi rin po kasama to sa GI, pero binibigyan po nila ng 1,000 to 2,000 pesos po, no, na parang transportation allowance, no, for the trainings, no, kasi they conducted trainings po, no, nung March, no, hanggang etong April po, no, and then doon po sa training na yan, let's say for example sa Metro Manila, ginawa po yan doon sa mga branches ng isang hotel, no, Eurotel, no, and then right after po the trainings ay tinatawag nila, binibigay nila yung 1,000 pesos, no, para doon sa mga teacher, at bawas na ito ng 200, no. So tinanong namin yan, ang sabi po nung COMELEC ay for tax nga po, no. And then, meron pang ina-announce na maghanda na ng 200 pesos na pansukle dahil 1,000 na buo yung pera from COMELEC staff, no. So yan po yun. And then sa Sarangani, no, meron po kaming ilang members po na nag-confirm, no, na yung bayad sa kanila for that training ay 2,000 pesos. And the COMELEC po, no, Director Niedo, Attorney Niedo po, confirmed din, no, to us, no, that yes, no, it's may range po ng 1,000 to 2,000 po yung bayad. Depende yata, no, sa layo, no, ng mga lugar, no. So parang outside NCR, no, kapag at depende rin, ano, kung sila ba ay live out or live in yung kanilang seminar. So that's a point of information po, no, Madam Chair, no, baka makatulong dito at maklarify na rin once and for all, no, kasi pag dinagdag natin yan, so hindi lang pala 10,000 yung bubuwisan, ano. And going back to our position, maiksi lamang po, gaya ng sinabi ko, mas mahaba pa yung aking clarification kanina. Ano po? Unang-una, we expect, no, yung position po ng DOF at ng BIR. Siyempre, no, dahil yan ang kanilang trabaho, habulin ang lahat ng pwedeng buwisan. Lahat ng pwedeng singilin ng buwis, dapat po habulin. At yan naman ay mandato ng ating gobyerno, no, dito po sa BIR at DOF. Na, at nagpapasalamat kami sa naging position din po ng COMELEC. Ito naman po yung commitment sa amin ng COMELEC, no, that they are supportive, no, of this bill. No, and in fact, yung aming pong position paper, no, ay pinasa po nila, no, doon sa BIR, no, right after our April 4 dialogue po, no, because they requested for the position paper from the TDC, and we complied, no, immediately. And they have well, as far as I know, they have submitted, no, the same to the BIR po, no. And of course, no, we thank them, no, we thank the COMELEC for that, no. Medyo masakit lang po sa akin, pasensya na po, no. Medyo masakit po talaga, no. Yung hindi po parang proactive, no, at hindi supportive yung aming Department of Education, ano, for this measure, no. Ang sinasabi po ng DepEd kanina, it's up to the BIR and the COMELEC and doon po sa legislature, no, kung ano po yung gagawin dito, no. Ang sa amin lamang po, medyo tapos po yun, ano? Kasi dapat yung DepEd, Department of Education, ang unang-unang nakakaalam, ang unang-unang dumadamay, at ang unang-unang nagtatanggol sa karapatan, sa kagalingan ng kanyang mga guro, no? Dahil po kami ay mga empleyado ng Department of Education. Hinihiram lamang po kami ng COMELEC, no, tuwing election time. And of course, no, dahil may ESRA na tayo, we actually have the option, no, to not to serve, no, under the new law, no. So yun po yung aming position po dito ay napakaliit na nito, no. And of course, no, nabanggit na ni Senator Gatchalian kanina, once in every 3 years lamang po meron nito, no. Bakit pa natin ito panggigigilan? At napakaliit po nito kumpara doon po, no, sa ibinibigay ang binibigay po, no, na service ng ating mga guro, no. Hindi po kami dito tumatanggi. In fact, we consider this, no, as our patriotic duty. No? Pero kaya nga po itinulak po ng iba't ibang mga samahan, ng iba't ibang mga organizations po itong ESRA, no, ay para matiyak na yung mga teacher po natin na nagsisilbi sa halalan ay mabigyan ng kaukulang proteksyon at mabigyan din ng kaukulang kompensasyon. Pero kung bubuwisan yung karagdagang kompensasyon, yung karagdagang allowances at bonuses po na ito, no, sa suma total, wala rin pong idinagdag mula noong huling election po. Again po, no, ang aming ibinibigay ay serbisyo, no, well, as per ESRA, ang mga teachers po ang unang-una, no, doon sa prioridad para umupo sa halalan at nagbibigay po ito ng serbisyo at serbisyong buwis buhay. Therefore, yung buwis po na kukunin ng BIR ay hindi na dapat kinukuha, wala na dapat ginagawa sapagkat buwis buhay na po ang mga teacher. Ang kanyang serbisyo ay hindi na dapat buwisan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Teacher Benjo, the National Chairperson of the Teachers Dignity Coalition. So, ayan, on record nga na ito palang transpo, no? Transpo allowance, may bawas na pala na 20%, no? I suppose factual yan based on the experience of the teacher. So unless COMELEC will say na hindi, yun na yun. We take that as a fact. Okay? So let's move on.
Ma'am,
Yes.
if I may clarify, yun pong
Okay.
transpo allowance po niyan is only for the training. No? Special allowance po yan for the trainings po. And in fact, wala po yan dun sa general instructions ng COMELEC. No po.
Okay, thank you.
Kaya
So
po iba po yan. Yung travel allowance po na nandun sa resolution ay yun po yung 2,000 ano na yung 1,000 ay ibibigay no after the final testing and sealing, and the other 1,000 ay ibibigay po sa election day. Thank you po.
O sige, nakakalito lang kasi yung transpo allowance for training, wala yan sa resolution. So
Yes, ma'am.
if I did not hear it from Mr. Benjo, hindi ko naman alam na may ganun, 'di ba? So hindi ko nakikita yung buong picture. So salamat din sa information. Kaya nga sabi ko kay COMELEC and BIR, bigyan nyo kami ng complete picture. So can everybody just submit na rin? In fact, for me, on the government side, sana isa na lang yung isubmit nyo sa amin para hindi na ako yung magko-compare, di ba? Isa na lang isubmit nyo. And then, sa inyo na rin po, sa mga teachers group, submit to us what you have, just so that mapagtugma natin. Kasi binanggit mo, Mr. Benjo, yung sa allowance for training, travel allowance, na may bawas, wala yun nga doon sa resolution, so wala yan sa notes ko. And then, yung isa pang resource person natin also mentioned yung communication din. Sino nga ba yung nagsabi nun? Si Risa, Teacher Risa, communication allowance na may distinction yung technical and hindi technical. So, hindi ko nakikita yung buong picture if not for the information that you're providing us. So, baka mamaya meron pang hindi nababanggit dyan. Okay? So, let's complete that information. Who is raising her hand? DepEd, Yusek, Josephine, Maribok. Did you want to say something, Yusek?
Yes, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat po. Kapraso lang po, doon po sa nabanggit ni Mr. Benjo Basas. Alam niyo po, ang departamento ay sumulong po ng pagtaas nitong mga benepisyo natin para sa eleksyon. Ang sinasabi lamang po ng departamento sa pagkakataong ito, patungkol sa mga bills na ito, ay nasa ibang ahensya po ang katungkulan batay sa batas patungkol sa mga buwis at exemption sa mga buwis. Kaya nga po may paggalang ang ating Secretary, Leonor Magtolis Briones, na sinasabing in deference to the mandate of the DOF and BIR po. Pero ang departamento po at mismo si Secretary Briones ay nagsulong po na may akyat po ang benepisyo para sa eleksyon. Salamat.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's proceed. Philippine Public School Teachers Association, represented by Ms. Marisa Banyaga, and then after that, Manila Public School Teachers. Nakamute yata kayo. I cannot hear anything. Miss Marisa?
Sorry, Madam
Oo,
Chair.
go ahead. Sige, okay na.
Yes, PPSTA is a mutual benefit association, a private association serving the public school teachers, and we are committed in upholding the welfare of our members, the public school teachers. Whatever will be the outcome or output of this hearing, we will relay to our board of trustees who are directly connected with DepEd, and we will make a position letter to support the non-taxability of the election honoraria and allowances on the following grounds. Election services is not a regular part of a teacher's services, and also the risk involved in participating in such act. And this is only done every 3 years, and let's not make it too burdensome for the public school teachers. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Manila Public Schools teachers, Mr. Louis Zabala, the president. We cannot hear you, sir.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Chair. And we are composed of 12,000 teachers affiliated to NCR Union, the largest organization of teachers union in the Philippines. We share the same position with the ACT teachers and NCR Union, just like what they said a while ago. Kami po, gusto ko rin maging malinaw sa mga taga-Department of Finance, BIR, and DepEd, and COMELEC. Ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng income and honorarium? Malinaw na po iyon sa mga naging explanation ng ating mga kapwa-guro sa iba't ibang organization. Labas po sa professional services na nire-render ng mga teacher, ay binibigay namin yung aming buhay para magkaroon ng integridad ang bawat halalan, maging ito ay lokal o pambansang antas. Pero ang kompensasyon sa mga nagdaang taon, lalo na po ngayong darating na May 22 national election, ay hindi po talaga nakakasapat at hindi po totoo na mayroong increase ng compensation and honorarium sa lahat ng mga uupong mga guro bilang mga electoral board. At sa katunayan, pinakita na yan doon sa analysis ng compensation and honorarium received by our BIs from 2019, the last election, at ngayong darating na 2022 election. Naalala ko po, no, bukod po sa mga hinihingi na mention na rin, nakaka-insulto yata dahil sa panahon na kung saan hindi normal at mayroong pandemya, ay dinagdagan ang gawain ng mga BI, pero binawasan ang kanilang compensation. Higit po doon, yung COVID allowance na 500 ay walang halaga, no, para sa mga uupong BEI. Sa totoo lang ho, 2 years ago nung nagkaroon ng pandemya, maraming mga teachers ang na-infect ng virus na ito at wala man lang tinulong ang ahensya ni Singkong Duleng. 300,000 kapag nagpa-ospital ang mga teachers. Umaabot ng milyon kung ang buong pamilya niya ay na-infect dulot ng kanyang infection din. At ngayon, i-expose ang mga BIs natin. Kung dati nasa 400 ang mga botante sa isang presinto, sinasabi na ito ay aabot pa sa 700 to 800. At malaki yung risk na i-expose ang mga teachers and BIs natin sa ganitong klaseng sitwasyon, tapos babawasan pa yung matatanggap na honorarium. Totoo, hindi ito part ng aming regular na trabaho. Pero di ba napakakal po, Madam Chair, na dinideputize kami sa isang napakalaking responsibility and patriotic duty, sabi ng isang teacher leader. Pero kami ay binubusan, tinatax, hindi kami dapat i-deputize para buwisan lang maraming malalaking tao sa lipunan, hindi ang mga teacher nakatiting ang sweldo, tapos imomobilize mo sa isang tao na hindi naman talaga namin gawain. Pero ginagampanan namin ng buong husay. Naalala ko po yung mga kagaya ni Nelly Banaag at ni Filomena Tatlong Hari. na nagdepensa doon sa ballot box na kanilang binabantayan, subalit napas lang. Ang tanong ko sa DepEd, magkano ang abuloy na binigay nyo? Sa COMELEC, kapag may mga teacher na nadedemanda dahil sa maling pagtantos sa mga datos na dapat hinihingi ng mga papel, sino ho ang nagdedemanda? Hindi po yung mga kandidato. Wala kayong pinoprovide ng mga lawyers para sa aming mga BEIs. Kayo mismo ang nagdidiin pa sa amin. Very ironic yun. Dineputize nyo kami, bubuwisan nyo kami, hindi nyo kami i-compensate properly. Kung tutuusin nga, yung 9,000 or 10,000, barya lang yan at walang halaga sa buhay na nakataya sa bawat BEI at mga gurong magsisilbi ngayong eleksyon dahil mayroong pandemya. Ang tanong ko po, Madam Chair, kung ganito po ang pagtrato ng institusyong nagde-deputize sa amin, na sa halip i-compensate kami properly, ang tanong, mayroon pa kayang teacher na maghandang mag-serve sa mga susunod na eleksyon? Kung mula sa 5% tax, ngayon 20% tax ang ipapataw sa aming honorarium, baka pagdating ng susunod na eleksyon, 50% na po at wala na ho kaming maiuwi. Ang karamihan ng mga teachers, particular sa Manila, nakatira sa Bulacan, nakatira sa Cavite, walang travel allowance, pinaltasan mo pa ng 200 nung kami ay nagtitraining. At wala na po sa training, sinasabi sa training, na wala na rin kaming, pakilinaw lang ito sa mga taga-COMELEC, wala na rin daw kaming matatanggap na travel expenses or yung pamasahe during final testing and sealing ng machine at the same time sa actual day ng eleksyon. So, yun po hindi lang kami simpleng malungkot. Nagagalit kami paano kami tinatrato ng mga institusyon na ito na nagde-deputize sa amin and even yung DepEd na dapat ay nagtatanggol, nagsasalita in favor of us, pero naguhugas kamay, tahimik, at yung DOF at ang BIR na dapat binubuwisan ang malalaking tao kung gusto nyong sumunod sa batas, bakit may malaking tao na tumakbo sa mataas na posisyon pero inalam ninyo at sa halip dapat silang buwisan, hindi kami mga teacher. Yun po, Madam Chair, at maraming salamat sa opportunity na ito.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Senator Gatchalian, do you have any questions? We've exhausted
Yeah.
all the resource persons for today, so
Yes, Madam Chair, just a quick reaction. I understand that for example, I'll take the chairperson of electoral board who receives 9,500. I understand this is good for 3 months. So that's about 3,100 per month. So if you deduct 20% out of that, you're deducting close to about 600 pesos. So the take home is only 2,500 per month. And then you're talking about kasama na ho dyan yung travel allowance, anti-COVID, and additional compensation. So my point there, Madam Chair, I understand that itong mga travel allowance, anti-COVID, additional compensation is meant to cover the additional expenses and additional out-of-pocket costs of the teachers. That's why it's only 3,100 per month. So I am appealing to the DOF for number one to look at the plight of our teachers, because taking home 2,500 is not so much. No, if you divide that per day and you divide that per activity, it's not so much. And then second, can DOF propose to us how can we give our teachers the full amount instead of deducting 20%? I think they appreciate the arguments on why we propose this. They appreciate that we should help our teachers. So I am appealing to the DOF if they can give us, and to the BIR, if they can give us a proposal on how we can give the full amount to our teacher. At the end of the day, pareho naman yung ating sentimento na dapat tulungan yung ating mga teachers. So let's just find a way to give them the full amount, because it's not so much. 3,100 a month is not so much considering that they have to pay for travel. Nakita ko yan sa Valenzuela, Madam Chair, when they go and for training, they go to get trained to how to use the PICOS machine, and then marami rin ho silang mga seminars na ina-attend regarding the election. It's really quite hefty for them. And alam naman natin, Madam Chair, you being the chair of the Education Committee, you also know that our teachers are overworked. We always say that we're trying to find ways to reduce the non-teaching activities of our teachers. But in this case, we're actually giving them more non-teaching activities with very few compensation, or with not commensurate compensation. So with that, again, I'm appealing to the DOF to give us a counter proposal on how to give the full amount to our teachers. We're talking about 9,500 for 3 months for the EB, and I think let's look for a solution in order to support our teachers. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. For the information of our guest, Senator Gatchalian is the Senate Committee Chair on the of the Committee on Basic Education, and obviously he works very closely with the teachers. We've worked together on many bills where we are trying to find ways to improve the quality of education, and one of them obviously would be to give teachers more time to teach, to improve their profession and to teach. So this is one of their activities that is outside of their profession as a teacher, which is now the issue now is it's being subject to tax now. But we are cognizant of this extra burden that our public school teachers take, and we are very concerned about it. And I think I can speak for many members of the Senate who, not just those who filed the bill, but those who have, in one way or another, have expressed their concern for teachers. I'm certain that they would like to seriously consider this bill. So anything else? We are going to wrap up. So Director Bragado.
Madam Chair, thank you very much po. I would like just to make a quick reaction with the permission of our Secretary Joe Maribohok. Just a quick reaction po for some of the allegations or sentiments shared by our fellow teachers here. We understand po everything po, and ako and the DepEd officials, kami po ay tumutulong at kasalukuyang tumutulong sa inyong mga hinaing. Hindi naman po siguro tama na hindi kami sabihin kami nagpapabaya o tahimik lamang. Kami po ay tumutulong. Katunayan, ang increase po ng honoraria ng ating mga teachers ay dahil po sa aming pagkikipagpulong sa COMELEC. 3,000 po ang aming hiningi-increase. Pero dahil nga po sa short budget ang ating pamahalaan, 1,000 lang po na-increase nila. Pero 3,000 po ang hinihingi namin para sa inyo. From 6,000 to 9,000. From 5 to 8,000. So, yung mga benefits po...
May I get clarity on that, Director Bragado?
Yes, ma'am.
From 6,000 last election, tama
Yes
ba?
po. We have proposed
So
9,000.
Di ba 9,000 na nga ngayon yung total, or iba pa ba yan?
No, ma'am. That's the basic honoraria, other than the allowances po. So, ibig sabihin, ma'am, yung 6,000 na basic honoraria, we propose to...
Yes, from 6,000. So, just to be clear,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
basic honoraria for the chairperson is now at 7.
Yes,
You're saying that this is because of your efforts. You asked for 3,000 and nadagdagan ng 1,000.
Yes, ma'am. Kailangan
Sige.
lang po natin i-context, ma'am, na baka sabihin ng ating mga kasamang guro na hindi kami nag-e-effort para sa tulungan. Kilala po ko
Thank
po
you.
si
Oo,
Sir
maganda naman
Benjo.
yan.
Kilala ko sila lahat, opo.
Yeah. So, pati itong mga members of the EB, dati bang 5,000 yan na naging 6,000 na ngayon? Tag 1,000 ba lahat ng...
Yes, ma'am.
Tapos yung DepEd supervisor na 5,000, dating 4,000 yan, tama?
Tama po. Tama po, ma'am. Lahat po nag-increase ng
itong-
1,000.
Pati yung support staff. Itong
Yes,
medical
ma'am.
personnel, ano yan, mga DepEd medical yan o hindi? Sa DOH na yan?
DOH na po ito, ma'am, with agreement na MOA na pinirmahan ng COMELEC sa kanila.
Okay. Sige, thank you, thank you. Tama naman yan na iparating nyo at you
Yes,
make
ma'am.
it known to them kasi we all work together and di naman sa pagbubuhat ng bangko ninyo, di ba? Pero tama lang naman na we acknowledge and give credit where credit is due. So thank you for that, Director.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Salamat po.
Sige, so I think we can adjourn, no? Because everything has been said. If you have any other statements, you can always send it to us by email. We are very thankful for everyone who attended. Simple lang naman ang issue natin. Mayroong trabahong ginagawa ang mga guro natin na labas sa kanilang trabaho bilang guro. Dahil sa trabahong ito, bibigyan sila ng honoraria and allowances. And ngayon, for the first time, ito ay magiging subject sa withholding tax of 20%. So, yan ang bill natin na humihingi ng exemption dito sa withholding tax na ito. Maliwanag yung mga posisyon na binitawan. Kung sa personal ko lang po, talagang supportive ako sa posisyon ng mga guro at sa bills na ito. We just have to coordinate carefully with the government agencies dahil aware din naman tayo dun sa mga concerns nila. Kaya lang, naiintindihan talaga natin yung bigat ng trabaho na ipinataw talaga natin sa mga guro. So, nagtaas ng kamay si Mr. Vladimir Cueta.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, sir, and then we will adjourn.
Yes, Madam Chair. Habol ko lang, total nandito na po ang ating mga kasama sa DOF at saka sa BIR, no? Again, posisyon namin dagdagan, huwag kaltasan yung ating election ono. Pangalawa po, sana maisama din sa discussions ay bayaran yung posibleng lalagpas na oras o araw ng pagbabantay sa eleksyon ngayong 2022 sa mga darating pa. Pangatlo, tekin sana yung kalusugan at yung kaligtasan, no? Na magbabantay sa elections, andyan yung testing, patiyak yung protocols at yung libreng pagpapagamot. At pangapat po, Madam Chair, napaka-importante po nito, ibigay yung sapat na proteksyong legal laban po sa panggigipit at yung mga sasabi nating mga suportang medikal sa pwedeng magkasakit o maaksidente sa pagbabantay sa eleksyon. Yung lamang, Madam Chair, maraming salamat po mula po sa ACT Philippines at ACT NCR Union.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Vladimir Cueta. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. This hearing is adjourned and like I said, feel free to submit any additional information. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you, colleagues.